Hi, and welcome to the third part of the 2000's Game of the Year's list. So, as of previous two episodes, we've compiled my top three of every year, and then we've made a final 10 of all the number ones. So basically, the number ones of the 2000s are Batman: Arkham Asylum, Dead Space, BioShock, Resistance: Fall of Man, Resident Evil 4, GTA San Andreas, Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, Legend of Zelda: Wind Waker, Max Payne, and Deus Ex. So, sorry, I'm just making sure if my list made sense. I apologise for the pause. So that is my list. So the order, I will go through and explain why. Number 10, Resistance: Fall of Man. I think it's an overlooked game, like I've mentioned in my previous episode, and it sets everything well. And was a standout game on the PS3 release schedule. In hindsight, like I said, it hasn't had as massive an impact as some of the other games on this list, so that's why it's number 10. But for me, needed to be on the list because not a lot of people know about it, and it was a great game series. Number 9, Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. Same thing. When I first played this, I thought it was mind-blowing, sort of, because there's been games which have used like rewind time mechanic and things like that, but this just, with this sort of action, sort of platformer style gameplay, it was, it blended so well. This game was actually very challenging as well, so to have this rewind function and things like that, and having rules of when you can use it, I think when not as well. So yeah, I really love the mechanics of it, and the fact that they're remaking it. I'm not the only one who loves this series, and Sands of Time is a great one. With the remake, I don't know if it's ever going to see the light of day, but I can cross my fingers. Number 8, Deus Ex. I've mentioned, like I said, it was very much, I think, the sort of basis of like the future games. You love like your Mass Effects and things like that, and with the sort of choices you make, the alliances you have and the decisions you have at the end. It's a shame the sort of like sequel didn't sort of go straight into it, but it's like it was very, very interesting how your decisions and everything else was made, and it was a very clever game. The series, like I said, has a niche audience, but it's been very sort of hit and miss, not on the quality of the games, but on the reception and the copies sold. But the first Deus Ex, love it. Max Payne, number 7. Like I've said before, love this game, and even though there is graphical limitations, like I think I either didn't have time or couldn't afford like to do multiple expressions, so they just basically plastered, I think, one of their producers or something like that doing a funny expression, and that was the expression of the entire game. And I absolutely loved it because it was the unique combat system and this really dark and noir twisted detective story, and this guy, basically You know, this really sort of dark and grim story about his family and his basically like his ascent to, you know, drug addiction, alcoholism and all that. And it's like, yeah, but the combat, you know, when you look at games like Deus Ex, Deus Ex, Max Payne, you can definitely see how, like, you know, future games have got evolved, like Alan Wake and things like that, where it's, you know, very much that storytelling, narration style, but it's compelling, it really is. So yeah, number 7, number 6, Dead Space. Like I mentioned in the previous episode, very groundbreaking, and the fact that they've you know, done a from the ground up remake, which has been well loved as well. You know, had very unique you know, limb mechanics and was very atmospheric, and the music and everything else. Yeah, what I remember was, yeah, like I said, I'm not a big horror guy. I mostly turn away from certain horror games, but like Resident Evil and Dead Space, loved it. But Dead Space was bloody hard, so I don't think I ever completed it, but what I did play of it, I did really enjoy it. Number 5, Arkham Asylum. Did I? Yeah, but, oh shit. Now I know why I changed it, didn't I, on that last list. I do apologise, because this is what happens when I had a piece of paper from ages ago, and I binned it, and I changed my number 1, didn't I? But I can't remember what I've changed it to. So I'm going to have to pause that and start again and come back to this. Jesus Christ, this is very me. It really is. So if anyone's actually listened to it, I've lost the plot. Okay. Okay, I am back on track. I do apologise for the slight delay. But yes, I did change my number 5, and it's not Batman Arkham Asylum. I changed it to Borderlands. So I will still keep in the same position, because, yeah, I was thinking of changing between Dead Space, but I think I'm going to make it a bit too complicated. Nope, I am changing my mind. So I am reordering my list. I do apologise. So number 7 now will be Borderlands. Number 6 will be Max Payne, and number 5 will be Dead Space. So yeah, Borderlands. Anyway, a game I do really like. But for me, the second one really upped it. But the characters, the craziness, the ridiculousness, and the you know, the looter shooters sometimes would be very repetitive, and this was very, you know, done in a very different way, and yeah, it was the entire series are very challenging, especially in the sort of like later bosses and things like that, and there's so many optional content and things like that. So yeah, so number 5 will be Dead Space now. So number 4 will be Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. No, it won't be. I am in for a penny, in for a pound. I'm readjusting my list on the fly. I do apologise, but yeah, I need to change my top 3. So number 4 now is GTA San Andreas. Of all the GTA games, I do think this was the one I played more, because it had some very interesting concepts. I think this was the one which had like a you know, system with sort of like eating and stuff like that. So I think if you ate too much, you got really fat and stuff like that. And you know, the characters, was it CJ? I think it was. And like I said, good voice acting. You had Samuel Jackson as Officer Tenpenny, I think it was. Who was basically, a corrupt cop who was just a nasty son of a bitch. And you had like Big Smoke, and I forget all the other ones, but yeah. But I did really like San Andreas, and I think the size of the maps and things like that, and there was so much you can do, and and these were the games which they are like unlockables and things like that, so you could get like I think tanks and planes, and I forget anyway, but yeah, but it was just you can just cause mayhem, and it was still great. And like I said, I think of these, I really like the missions, apart from the one when you have to catch the damn train. But other than that, like I said, I do really like San Andreas. Like I said, it was originally in my top 3, but I've moved it out for so now number 3 is Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Like I said, I was having a good look and I was like, why have I not put Wind Waker in my top 3? Because it's one of my favourite Zelda games. I mean, I know a lot of people will now put in Breath of the Wild, but for me that's not a Zelda game. It's some open world hybrid weird thing, but that's just me. But Wind Waker, I think, is one of those sort of like true sequels. You're never going to top Ocarina of Time, but for me, I think Wind Waker's like my number 2 or number 3, because I do absolutely love the art. Because I was same thing, I was unsure. Oh, this kiddie art style, it doesn't look great, and it's just going to be, not very well done. And I absolutely loved it every moment. The the storyline, the explorations. Yeah, there's a bit of padding, getting the shards and stuff like that in different locations, but it was so much fun exploring these little islands with secrets, and probably a lot I still don't even know about, which I never worked out, but I did get quite a few. And like I said, I like with the later in the game you've got like you can turn yourself to have a big whirlwind on your ship and sort of transport to other locations as well. There's different like secrets in that, and yeah, and I think the sort of when you've got like a new weapon or a new thing to unlock more parts of the map, it did make it more exciting and more interesting. So I think this had more of the wanted. You could sort of get through certain part of the story before like you get to like the end, but you could still go back and explore a great deal. And the fact that, like I said, you can go back to Hyrule, and like I said, when you get to one of the few actual Zelda games I've completed, but when you get to the end and stuff, it's like honestly nostalgia. Not just nostalgia, it just feels like a great world. And to say this was on like the GameCube, which I do think was an underrated console, because when you look at things like the PlayStation and PlayStation 2, even though those games were great, with them having these different art styles and the different sort of look, they still look amazing today. And that's what's the thing with the GameCube games. You like I said, you can happily pick up like Super Smash Bros. and Mario Sunshine, which I don't know why people hate, because I love that game. I really can't stand the Galaxy games because I think they're just trippy and boring, but that's just me. I do have opinions, and I know they're mostly wrong, but well. And like I said, and and even like Metroid Prime and stuff like that. Yeah, there's honestly, I think of all those sort of consoles around that time, I think the GameCube, you know, just for there's so many games which still hold up very good. But this is about the GameCube. This is about the top 10 list. So yeah, number 3, Wind Waker. So number 2, this number 1 and number 2 is very tough, but Resident Evil 4 has to be my number 2. Like I said, I've already gone, you know, talked in length about this, and yeah, it's such a great game, and from what I've heard, that the remake is excellent as well, and it's still got some of the campiness, which that was my worry, having all these like new graphics and stuff like that. You know, I don't know what it's like all the way through, but when I heard it had that first line with the "Where's everyone gone?" I was like, yeah, okay, I'm a bit more relaxed now. So yeah, so Resident Evil 4 is my number 2, and number 1 has to be BioShock. I think it's one of those few games which has a lasting impact, and not just because of the twist, because of the world building. And I still remember the first time I ever played BioShock, and you go into the bathysphere, and you know, you go down into this world, and you know, and it just looked mind-blowing, you know, this you know, underground utopia which just turned into this, you know, this sort of really decayed, you know, troubled society, and like I said, you know, and the world building is perfect. It really is, you know, from the Big Daddy's little sisters, you know, the Andrew Ryans, the Frank Fontaines, you know, even like the I forget the name, but yeah, there's like a religious cult in it as well, you know, and it's like oh yeah, and mad scientists who's just basically cutting people apart just for the fun, and yeah, was it Dr. Sushamo, I think? But anyway, but yeah, and honestly, and oh, what's his name? I just forgot. Sander Cohen. How did I forget Sander Cohen? Absolute lunatic, and obviously it's like, yeah, I love those bits, and yeah, it's such a great game. It really is, and like I said, the fact that you can get good endings and bad endings depending on, you know, if you save the little sisters or harvest them. But then, you know, it's like if you save them, they give you gifts and things like that. So, you know, so it's all about the choices you make, and yeah, I do really really love that world, and like I said, and some of the other games, I think number 2 is very underrated because I still really love it. Number 3, I have mixed opinions, and there's still talk about them doing a sequel, so we shall see. But I think narratively, I think 3 basically cut a lot of chances to make a sequel, because, you know, I think they've just basically narratively put themselves in a box. So it would be interesting how they could carry on that story without it feeling derivative or, you know, ignoring everything else. So yeah, anyway, so this has gone 12 minutes just to basically make top 10 list of the ones I've already made. So yeah, I do apologise. I do wobble on quite a lot. So number 10 is Resistance Fall of Man. Number 9 is Prince of Persia Sands of Time. Number 8, Deus Ex. Number 7, Borderlands. Number 6, Max Payne. Number 5, Dead Space. Number 4, GTA San Andreas. Number 3, Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Number 2, Resident Evil 4. And number 1, Bioshock. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you like this, or you want to make your own list, like I said, just send me a message. Like I said, check a previous one, but it's denzalisttalks@gmail.com. But like I said, it's a small audience anyway, so if anyone's got to the end, fair play to them. I hope you guys have fun, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you later. Bye.